Welcome to Vintage SF. I'm Richard Rempel. Today, a very special book haul. I took a trip recently to Tucson, Arizona. Along the way, I stopped at some bookstores, and in Tucson, there were several very good bookstores. So for today's book haul, I'm going to concentrate on the Ace books that I picked up on this trip. I visited 4 bookstores on the way to Tucson. In Fargo, North Dakota, I visited BDS Books. Our next stop was Lincoln, Nebraska. I went to Blue Stem Bookstore and also a Novel Idea bookstore. I can recommend a Novel Idea. Several cats made this bookstore their home. The books were well curated and shelved. One more stop on our way to Tucson was Las Cruces, New Mexico. Right in the downtown district, there was a bookstore called COAS, or COAS Bookstore. This was the bookstore with the best prices on my trip. They had a very large selection of books. And then in Tucson, I visited Bookman's, a very large used bookstore, also for music and other collectibles. On a side note, Bookman's had copies of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings that were printed by Ace Books. There was a dispute whether Tolkien's copyright had lapsed. This prompted J.R.R. Tolkien to re-edit The Lord of the Rings and produce a second edition. It was very interesting to see these pirated or illegal Ace editions. And I also visited a small bookstore, which may be the first used bookstore in Tucson. It's called the Bookstop on 4th Avenue. So in this video, I'm going to show you 20 Ace books that I picked up on this trip. I have a second camera here to show you the books. This first one makes me think of Stephen, the outlaw bookseller. He loves Barry Malzberg. Barry Malzberg at Large. This is the essential Barry Malzberg, according to the back. Fiction, including the Nebula nominee Final War, that forms the foundation of one of science fiction's most extraordinary careers. Harlan Ellison is always good for a blurb. He says, Barry Malzberg is one of the few writers in the world whom I gladly, happily, loudly declare is a better writer than I am. This book is copyright 1979. Next, I have a book by an author that I discovered in the Ace Science Fiction Specials. His name is James H. Smits. I have a book of his. It's actually a sequel to a book that I already have. So the book that I already have is The Universe Against Her. The sequel is called The Telsey Toy and Other Stories. And at the top, you can see that this is the second book in the Telsey Amberdawn stories. Not sure if that's Telsey Amberdawn or Amberdun. I've had it pointed out to me sometimes that my pronunciation of authors and characters' names may be wrong. Another author that I discovered in the Ace Science Fiction Specials in the Series 1 was Alexei Panshin. He wrote Rite of Passage. Here I have 2 novels in a series of stories about Anthony Villiers, or Villiers. Once again, I'm not sure of the pronunciation. And each of these are proudly saying that they co-star Torv the Trog. Here, let's show you the first one, Starwell. And a little bit of a close-up here with the artwork. And the second one, I'm not sure if I'm showing these in order, is the Thurb Revolution. And here's a close-up. For the Thurb Revolution, I see 1968 as a copyright. And for Starwell, once again, 1968. I'm thinking these might be a collection or fix-up of stories. Here's an Ace double that I picked up. I've already reviewed this Ace double if you want to find it on my channel. Both books are by Philip K. Dick. We have Dr. Futurity and The Unteleported Man. Now, this edition is from 1972, but it actually reprints earlier Ace doubles which featured these two books. The Unteleported Man was from 1964, and Dr. Futurity was from 1960. Ace Books' head office is in New York City. It's no wonder that it's a little bit easier to find older Ace books in North America, and in particular in the United States. So I picked up a few random copies of Ace books just to see what they were like as well. The first one in that category is The Ship That Sailed the Time Stream by G.C. Edmondson. Quite good condition. Copyright 1965. Another author that I haven't tried. When the Star Kings Die by John Jakes. Was it the end of a galactic empire or the dawn of a greater one? Copyright for this one, 1967. Then I picked up a few Andre Norton novels. Starborn. Good, fast-moving, colorful, according to Astounding Science Fiction. Copyright 1957. The X Factor by Andre Norton. A vivid and exciting novel of the space age, one of the best from the Christian Herald. Copyright for The X Factor 1965. Victory on Janus. In the tradition of A. Merritt is what Chicago Tribune says about this one. Copyright 1966. Andre Norton was quite a prolific author. Then I've got a couple of the smaller sized Ace books. This one is a short story collection by an author I discovered on the Ace Science Fiction Specials Series 1. Avram Davidson, What Strange Stars and Skies. You know one certain fact about any Davidson story, that it will be unpredictable, unique, and delightful. Anthony Boucher. Copyright for this collection is 1965. Now I have two Ace doubles. On this side we have The Tree Lord of Imaton by Tom Purdom, or Purdom. On the other side we have Empire Star by Samuel R. Delany. Empire Star by Delany is 1966, and The Tree Lord of Imaton by Purdom is 1966 as well. And the last Ace double for this haul, Alpha Yes, Terra No by Emil Pataja. I'm sure I got that name wrong. And on the other side, we have The Ballad of Beta 2 by Samuel R. Delany. As you can see, I picked up these last couple ones because they had Samuel R. Delany as an author. The Ballad of Beta 2 by Samuel R. Delany is copyright 1965, as is Alpha Yes Terra No. As we were shopping at bookstores along the way, I always seem to be able to pick up one, sometimes two, Ace Science Fiction specials from Series 3. After exhausting these bookstores, we still had a stay of a couple of weeks in Tucson. Shipping within United States is much cheaper than shipping from United States to Canada. So I looked for some good deals on the rest of the books I was looking for and ordered them through eBay. So here are my Ace Science Fiction special books that are filling out my collection. From Series 3, edited by Terry Carr, Palimpsests by Carter Schultz and Glenn Harcourt. The first number of novels in the A Science Fiction Special Series 3 had this graphic design or grid, perhaps. Looks like it could be from an ancient targeting graphic from a science fiction movie. Palimpsests is copyright September 1984. This one was an upgrade to a copy I had of this book. In the Drift by Michael Swanwick. And the copyright for this one, February of 1985. The first bookstore that I stopped at on my way to Tucson was BDS Books in Fargo, North Dakota, and I just happened to find, right away, the Hercules text by Jack McDevitt. You'll notice this design is a little changed now. This grid is at a 45-degree angle, and we have some color to it and some red. The Hercules text, copyright November 1986. This next one maintains that livery, but there is a very important change. Black Snow Days by Claudia O'Keeffe. So we see that same graphic, different colors, but we also see at the top here we have Terry Carr's A Science Fiction Specials, but over here we have edited by Damon Knight. Terry Carr passed away while editing the series. Damon Knight finished out the series for him. Copyright for Black Snow Days is April 1990. And the last book of Series 3, The Oxygen Barons by Gregory Feely. This one was published July 1990. I have 2 more books for you, and I'm quite excited about these books. In collecting the A Science Fiction Specials for Series 1, I was also collecting 8 books that Terry Carr had selected for the series, but didn't have the title A Science Fiction Specials on the top of them. One of them was quite rare. I was able to pick up a copy of Other Days, Other Eyes by Bob Shaw. And I was also missing a book from the A Science Fiction Specials Series 2. These books are numbered, and this was number 4. This was the one I had the most difficulty finding, at least finding at a reasonable price. Stanislaw Lem, The Invincible. So, those are the 20 books that I picked up. Let's take a look at how they look now on my bookshelf. So here are the cubicles in my shelf for the A Science Fiction Specials. We start here with Series 1. And Series 1 continues onto the second cubicle. Right here is where Series 1 changes into the books that do not have the A Science Fiction Special printed over the top. So there's 8 books in that livery. So we have 1, 2, 3. Then we have the other 5 over here, finishing off with The Worlds of Theodore Sturgeon. Other Days, Other Eyes by Bob Shaw is the 7th and fits in right there. Series 2 is handled by 2 Ace Book editors. I can't remember their names, so I'll put them on the screen. Series 2, on the top of the spines, had a numbering system. They also had sort of a starburst design with an Ace Science Fiction Special logo and the number of the book. The Invincible fits right here. There were 11 books in that series. And in the third series, there are 12 books. Most notable is Neuromancer by William Gibson. These books were first books by these authors. Terry Carr had returned and was seeking to promote new authors. So Palimpsests is the second one. So we have the first 5 books right here. And then to finish off the set, In the Drift, Hercules Text, The Net, Metrophage, The Tides of God, Black Snow Days, and The Oxygen Barons. So 7 on this side. So starting again from here, this is my collection of Ace Science Fiction specials ranging from 1967 into the early 70s, the mid 70s, 1980s, all the way up to 1990. That covers the Ace books that I picked up in my time in the United States. There were more books though, and I will save those for another book haul. Until next time, keep collecting.